Hi, Doc here. This video is going to show you how to set up Dreamweaver CS6 to the SQL Server that we're using for this class. Doing this in Dreamweaver is significantly different than it is in Expression Web 4. So this video is specifically for Dreamweaver. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a new active server page. So we'll create that document, and it comes in as just a plain document. And what I want to do is save that first, and I'm just going to put it in the folder that I'm working in. And you'll notice I put an ASPX at the end of that, not an HTML. So I've got my document here, and what I need to do is I need to establish a connection with the server. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change my set of my workspace layout. I'm going to change to the App Developer Plus because it gives me more ready access to the information I need, specifically the database stuff over here. So I click on Connect to Database first, and it wants me to make sure that I have, one, created a site, and we have created the site. You're going to want to make sure that you have the testing clicked in this server, which is not something we've had to do in the past. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that testing clicked so that the same server can serve as your testing and remote server. Okay, for the document type, you want to make sure that this is set as an ASP VB script document. And again, here, the testing server, we've already done that. We talked about that just a minute ago. So you'll have that set up. And then what you do is you've got this plus button over here, and you've got your choice between a custom connection string and a DSN. Now, this is where, especially with the Macintosh, this gets difficult because in the Apple computers, the laptops, they used to have an ODBC, which is the protocol for connecting to database connections, an open database connection. And that's what ODB stands for. And what you would do is in that ODBC manager, you would enter a data source name, which would just set up a set of settings so that you could automatically connect to it. But they've taken that out of the Macintosh with the latest version of OS X, which is 10.8. It may have come out before that, but they took that utility out. And so instead of using the easy way, which is the data source name, we're going to have to use a custom connection string, which isn't that much harder. It's just a little bit more cumbersome to use. So for the connection name, I'm going to do ICT SQL Server, and I'm going to just say DW, just so that, meaning Dreamweaver. And then what I have to do is enter a connection string. Now, the connection string that you are going to use is going to be different every time that you are trying to make the connection. But the way that it's broken down is it'll say, this first part will say driver, and then you'll have the curly brackets, and inside of the curly brackets you'll have SQL space server with the SQL capitalized and the server capitalized, and then there is a semicolon there. And what you're going to do is you're going to be putting together a string of variables here, and that string of variables is going to be different for every user and every time you're using a different database. So you need to understand what it is that we're putting in here. So the first thing that we're doing is we're just telling it to look on the SQL Server for the SQL Server driver. The server is the address of the server. In our case, we're using an IP address. Your IP address will be sent to you by the instructor. You will also be using a database. Now, in our particular case, we are using a standard sample database that comes with SQL Server that can be installed, called AdventureWorks LT 2008 R2. AdventureWorks LT 2008 R2, and that's the name of the actual database that is in there and installed and available for us to use. That's going to be different when you're setting this up with other databases. That's just for use with this database that we have set up. Then you're going to need to enter behind UID, which stands for user ID. You'll need to enter your user ID, and you will need to enter your password to the SQL Server after that. So what we do is we take this entire string and we paste it into here, or you can type it into there. And then what you'll need to do is change your user ID and your password. And you want to make sure that in this case you choose using driver on the testing server, and that will take the place of that the ODBC connection that we were talking about earlier. And so you go ahead and enter your user ID and password. And then after you've entered your ID and password, what you're going to want to do is you're going to click test. And it's going to do some gyrations, and then it's going to tell you that, hopefully it's going to tell you that the connection was made successfully. If you get the connection was made successfully, then that's great. You have just told your software how to connect to your database, and then you can click on OK. And you'll notice that within this databases section, there's now a whatever you called that connection, and then it will also give you the access to stored procedures, tables, and views that you may have set up. Now, these are normally come with the database. For instance, here's the tables, and you would choose from the tables in here, and what I'm going to choose is customer. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to save this, and when you do that, what it's going to do is it's going to create a second file, and it's going to append the X to it. So whatever the file name you had, it's going to be .aspx. It's also going to create a folder called connections, and inside that connections there's going to be a document that houses the information about the connection that you set up. So this is the document that that you're working on here. And so now you go ahead and synchronize that to the server.